Good evening, and welcome back to those of you joining us again for our second forum of the evening. And to those of you logging in for the first time, welcome. We're excited to host this forum featuring the candidates running for the Palatine Highway Commissioner. My name is Lizzie Klinner, and I am a member of the League of Women Voters of the Palatine area. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization that neither supports, opposes, nor recommends candidates for office. The League was founded here in Chicago in 1920 in order to help educate and inform the new female voters who had just won the right to vote. Providing this forum enables members of the community to become better informed about the issues facing our community and the candidates running for office. We are pleased to offer this service for you. We would like to extend our sincerest thanks to Beth Alderman, a library associate, and Rolando Medrano, a technology specialist at the Palatine Public Library, whose help and technology have made today's forum possible. Bev and Rolando are the co-hosts today and will be operating this webinar. During today's presentation, all audience members will be muted. We will not be using the chat or raised hand features. All questions for the candidates have been submitted by the audience at the time of registration or from local nonpartisan organizations. Before we get into the forum, we have a brief poll for our audience. Please take a moment to indicate how you heard about this evening's forum. Yeah. Thank you. Now I'm pleased to introduce our moderator for today's forum, Maria Peterson. Maria is a member of the League of Women Voters and a trained moderator. Thank you for being here, Maria.
Thank you, Lizzie. Good evening and welcome everyone to this candidate forum. Let me take a few minutes to explain the format and the rules of the forum. All of the candidates were contacted by mail, email, and phone and have agreed to abide by the ground rules provided by the League of Women Voters. They are as follows. Both candidates chose we flipped a coin. Each candidate had the opportunity to pick what they wanted. Matt Flamm selected heads and he will be the first to speak. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for their opening statement. Afterwards, each candidate will have 1 minute to answer their questions. After both have answered their questions, if there is a need for a rebuttal, a candidate may ask to rebut, and they will have 30 seconds. We have our timer, Angie, who will show the signs of 2 minutes or 1 minute, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and stop. We ask that when you see the 30-second warning, actually when you see the 15-second warning, please wrap up your thoughts so that you don't get muted. But it's my understanding in this particular forum, we're not going to mute you, but we ask that you wrap it up so that there's an adequate amount of time for both of you to answer questions. This is only a half-an-hour forum, so we want to give you both equal amounts of time and time to answer your questions thoroughly. No voice, image, or other duplication of the form may be used by a candidate's representative or campaign in any campaign advertising. The League of Women Voters claims copyright ownership of all recordings or transcripts produced from this event and reserves the right to publicize this forum. The League's website will be posted in the chat so that within the week you can go and look at this video. And we do copy this video for educating the public of candidates. And with that, we have two candidates, Matt Flamm, who will be first, and then followed by Aaron Delmar second, who are both running for the position of Palatine Township Highway Commissioner. So with that, Matt, you have 2 minutes to introduce yourself. Remember to unmute yourself.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the League for hosting this forum. It's a vital service to our community. My mother was an officer and committee chair of the Evanston League when I was growing up. She just turned 96 yesterday. I had dinner with her and she gave me some advice, which I'll take. And she's watching this forum on Zoom. I've lived in unincorporated Palatine Township since 1987. I'm a partner in a small law firm specializing in business and real estate law. The job of the highway commissioner is to supervise the road district. The job of the road district is to maintain the roads in the unincorporated parts of Palatine Township. There are fewer than 18 miles of road left in unincorporated Palatine Township. Fewer than 9% of Palatine Township residents live on roads under the highway commissioner's jurisdiction, but they all pay tax to the road district. The road district spends over $1.2 million per year to maintain those 18 miles of road. The road district is funded by the road and bridge tax, which you'll see on your real estate tax bill. $2,580,000 was levied last year. 47% of that amount went to the municipalities in Palatine Township. That means that more than half the road and bridge tax goes to pay and maintain roads used by less than 9% of the residents. The road district has more than $3.2 million on hand. That amount has increased by almost $600,000 in the past 2 years. There's no foreseeable need for that much in reserves. And I mentioned, there is no way we would ever raise taxes if I'm the highway commissioner. The road district is not a part of the township. It's a separate legal entity. The highway commissioner has complete autonomy over the road district. The commissioner is answerable to no one except the voters once every 4 years, and most voters have no idea that he exists. The Democratic candidates have committed to conduct an independent performance audit to determine how funds are being used and whether they can be used more effectively. I've committed to participate in that audit and to implement his recommendations, even though as highway commissioner, I would not be legally required to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Aaron.
Well, thank you so very much for having me. I would first like to thank the League of Women Voters and the Palatine Library for hosting tonight's event, and to my good friend Matt Flamm for participating alongside me. I look forward to a robust debate on the issues of the road district and each of our visions for the next 4 years. 5 years ago, I was fortunate enough to begin my tenure as Palatine Township Highway Commissioner. My degree in public management from Indiana University and my previous position as a councilman for the Village of Palatine gave me both the classroom education and the real-life training to be effective in local government. I found that those experiences have assisted my understanding and ability in the position of Highway Commissioner to set policies and programs that serve the needs of our residents in a balance with the amount of taxes that we collect. During my time as Highway Commissioner, I am most proud of the innovative public policies that we have implemented, including a commitment to not raising taxes. We are one of the only government entities in Cook County that have not raised our local property taxes during my time as Commissioner. And in fact, during the last levy, I actually lowered the tax bill to the residents by $125,000 while not reducing any programs and holding the line on the outstanding services our constituents have come to expect. I have made Palatine Township greener and more environmentally friendly while saving money by utilizing new innovations and best practices from around the country when it comes to our salting with our own organic salt brine, yard waste compost program, and tire and recycling services. I've created new fiscal policies to infrastructure improvements, vehicle purchasing, and economic forecast modeling to create an asset replacement plan that helps us save money for future major expenditures. I have developed new intergovernmental agreements with other municipalities in our taxing district to cooperate and share equipment, land, and services for the benefit of all the residents of Palatine Township. In the next 4 years, I am committed to not raising taxes, expanding on the success that we have with our partnering communities, and working to continue my plan to keep Palatine Township environmentally and financially responsible. Thank you again, and I look forward to the questions from the audience.
Thank you, and I appreciate that both of you stayed within the 2 minutes. Okay, the first question, next question, Aaron. Palatine currently employs 6 full-time drivers with 6 trucks to maintain less than 18 miles of road. Does this seem like a prudent use of tax dollars? What could be done to make this more efficient and more cost-effective? And one added part to this, what would happen if the highway district was abolished?
Wow, that's a very long question to be able to answer in 1 minute. So I'm going to talk really fast. So excuse me for that. So first of all, if we were just talking about salting and plowing, I would understand your concern. But we're talking about maintaining the roads, paving, salting, tree replacement, yard waste pickup, compost, stormwater management, culverts, sewers, under drains, curb and gutter, rural cross section, ditches, urban cross sections, sidewalks, street lights, bridges, tire recycling, street signs, and traffic control. So within that budget, I think that we do a really good job of making the most out of the taxpayer dollars. In regards to what would happen if we got rid of the road district, well, I can tell you this, that we would be very unhappy with the services because it would fall under Cook County. And I don't know about you, but I don't know of any of services that Cook County does very well. And I know I have very, very strong concerns about that because I live in unincorporated Palatine Township. And I know that when I was the village councilman at the village of Palatine, they didn't even plow Quentin Road, which is a major thoroughway. So I know that I'm gonna have a lot of trouble getting to my work in the morning after a long snow. So I think we really need to think long and hard about what we're doing here because getting rid of the road district would be a really, really big problem.
Woof, Matt.
I was trying to go fast, sorry.
Unmute yourself, Matt. Thank you, Aaron.
I think that should have been 2 questions, but I'll answer them both. The first one is that a prudent use of funds? Let me just point out that the city of Chicago has 300 trucks to service 4,700 miles of road, or about 1 truck per 15 miles. We've got 6 trucks per 18 miles. Enough said. Now, I said we're going to have a performance audit to determine whether the services are being provided as economically as possible. We'll find out what the auditors have to say. But my gut feeling is yes, we have too many drivers and too many trucks. In answer to your second question, or second part of your question, no. As a matter of fact, the services would not be turned over to Cook County. If the voters voted to abolish the road district, the township board would take over supervision of the roads. They could keep every single employee just as they are now. They could keep every service the way they are now, or they can make changes. And it'd be a much better system because it would not leave all discretion in the hands of the highway commissioner.
I would like to rebut, please.
30 seconds.
Thank you very much. Well, first, I'd like to say, since Matt brought up some numbers, I think those are things we really want to talk about because the road district has 0.32 people per road. Because when Matt talks about 18 miles, it's actually 18 and a half. He's talking about center lane miles. And I don't know about you, but you can't plow down the center of the road. So there's over 36 lane miles that are here within the unincorporated Palatine Township. Also, if they are sent over to the township district, that doesn't change it. Who is going to maintain that? Who's going to watch it? Not the executive director, not the trustees. None of them have the degree that I have or the experience that I have.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. So Matt, you're next. In what ways can the highway district cooperate with the village of Palatine to avoid duplication of services and decrease property taxes?
With the village of Palatine.
Yes, with the village of Palatine. Yes, I'll repeat the question. In what ways can the highway district cooperate with the village of Palatine to avoid duplication of services and decrease property taxes?
Am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
I am. Okay, thank you. For one thing, the township code, the Illinois Township Code, allows the road district to transfer funds to municipalities with approval of the Department of Transportation. So they can take some of that money that's not being used now and transfer it to the village. The road district does have an intergovernmental agreement with the village. We have to look into whether that can be made more effective, but in general, if the road district were turned over to the township board, they would then be able to negotiate with the village and the other villages and cities within the township.
Thank you, Matt. Aaron?
I love this question. And the reason why is because I've already set up intergovernmental agreements with the Village of Palatine. We do over 20 miles of their plowing and salting. With Barrington Township, we do all of their public works and operational work. With Inverness, we work as all their public works. We do their tree cutting and some grass cutting in the right of ways. We do the plowing on the adjacent parts of Schaumburg Township on their behalf. And we also work to the north with Ela Township. These are 5 intergovernmental agreements that bring in more revenue to our city, that we work with our partners and create better relationships. Just for example, with Schaumburg Township and Ela, we don't pay them, they don't pay us, we do a trade in salt. So it's an in-kind donation and trade. So we cover a part of the roads that are more efficient for us, and we receive salt on their side of the benefit. These are the things that I've done since I've been the highway commissioner. These are the things that I learned in the classroom at Indiana University. And these are the things that I learned as a city councilman of the Village of Palatine that had a $250 million budget. I've been doing this already. And if you want to look at the audit is already done. It's on our website. I trust Matt, if you want to take a peek at it, we've had it done every year. I'd love to share it with you and have a cup of coffee to go over it.
Thank you, Aaron. And speaking of salt, many people have expressed concerns regarding oversalting on the roads during the winter. What steps can be taken to address these concerns and alleviate environmental damage from the salt and other chemicals? Aaron, the question goes to you first.
Oh, I'm loving these questions. Thank you so much, Maria. What I want to tell you is that I have taken steps to make Palatine Township more environmentally green. Now, it's not very exciting, but we create our own salt brine. This is something that I started over 2 years ago. And the value of that is because when we go out and salt, we spray the salt brine that we make here in Palatine, homemade, onto the salt, which requires this less amount of salt that we need to use. And the reason for that is environmentally, when we put that salt, it goes to the side of the roadway, gets plowed, and then it seeps down into our water tables. And I don't know about you, but I have a well. I'm an unincorporated Palatine, and I do not want to have that salt in our wells. This is one of the practices that I found in my continuing education to try to innovate and find new techniques to develop and make Palatine a better place with the best practices that are used across the United States. We are the only place that I know in the state of Illinois that uses this technique, and it has a saving of $15,000 a year because we're not buying as much salt as we were before. And if you look at my budget, I lowered our salt levy this year as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt?
I don't have any objection to the way the township is handling the salting of the roads. I think they're doing a good job of it. I think they better be for the amount of money they're spending to maintain 18 miles of road. Yes, they've agreed to do salt and ice maintenance for adjoining communities, and that brings in some money to the township. But let me point out that means that the taxpayers are paying twice. They're paying the road and bridge fund tax on their tax bill when they pay their taxes, and they're paying again when their municipality pays the township, pays the road district for icing and salting their roads. So I think that needs to be corrected.
I would like to rebut that, please.
30 seconds.
Thank you. Mr. Flamm is actually incorrect when he says they're taxed twice. And the reason is that we do not charge any additional fees other than the cost and time for us for the use of the road district based on state mandate. So what's actually happening is we are the public option. It's way better to use the Palatine Township Road District than it is to hire an outside private firm because they need to make profit. We don't. It's better to use us because we train on all the same equipment. We train on all the same locations. We actually house the road district and the Village of Palatine right next door to each other, so we can use the same equipment, materials, and labor a lot of times together.
May I respond?
30 seconds.
According to the audit, and yes, I've read the audits for the past 6 years going back, since before your time, the road district collected $83,969 in intergovernmental agreements in the year ending March 31 to 2020. So yes, in fact, people are paying twice. Those dollars were paid for by taxpayers in the Village of Palatine or City of Rolling Meadows or other communities to the road district, which is already getting its money from the road and bridge tax.
I'd like to rebut that, please.
You have used your 2 rebuttals.
Okay, I can do that later. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, what role, this question goes to Matt. What role can the highway department play in making the village more carbon neutral and environmentally friendly?
Well, honestly, one of the things that the township code allows the township to do is to spend money on recycling programs. And I think that can be defined fairly broadly. They can also transfer funds to the village. I think you can't operate just by the township in the unincorporated roads. It's only 18 miles of road. It has to be done in cooperation with the village and the city of Rolling Meadows. But we absolutely would set up a committee to look into that. And again, I think this is one of those things that having the road district controlled by the township board would give you a lot more hands to help be involved in that.
Thank you, Matt. Aaron?
Well, actually, I don't think we need a committee because I've already done it. We've taken a look at what the village of Palatine pays, and we are 3.5% less on all corners, pound for pound, than the village of Palatine. So that's why they hire us instead of using outside groups, because we are the public option for Public Works Department. The same reason Barrington, Schaumburg, Inverness, and Ela Township work with us. And to your question about making a less carbon imprint, one of the big programs that we do is our tire recycling. We do electronics recycling, and that's given to anybody in Palatine Township, not just in unincorporated. We also do all of our compost. So we go and do all the recycling of the leaf pickups. We do all of the lawn clippings. We bring it to the township. We mix it, and then we give it back to all the residents of the township, no matter where you live, for free. So it keeps it green, it keeps it solid, and it keeps all that here. Why do I need to outsource to the village of Palatine when I'm less expensive? If you got rid of the road district and had to use Palatine Township, everyone's tax rate is going to go up. And going back to one thing Matt said, we give the village of Palatine, Inverness, and everyone else pro rata share half of our budget every year. They're paying us back with the money that we gave them. So Matt is wrong about the double taxing. He's disingenuous in that.
Let me ask this question and make it a little bit more clear on the carbon neutral. So if you have 6 trucks, what would you do to make those trucks more environmentally friendly for the township of the Palatine Township? And the question will go to Aaron first.
Well, thank you. For the first thing is the reason that we have 6 trucks is because we cross-use our trucks. Those are the same plow trucks that are dumps trucks. We utilize them over efficiently. We also try to make sure that we're using diesel and biofuels that we can make it more efficient. If you'll notice that all of the other townships that are around and within the busing program, the Palatine gets their fuel from us. We house the fuel right on site in the road district over on Smith Road. We are trying to find ways to leave a less carbon imprint that we can. With being fiscally responsible. We want to be environmentally responsible and fiscally responsible. One of the commitments that I'm making is to looking at when we're repurchasing these trucks, part of my capital expense plan for new asset purchases, like I spoke earlier, we're going to be looking for more electric vehicles. We're going to be looking at any kind of way that we can do less for the less taxpayers and more for the environment, because that's a priority for me as the highway commissioner. That's where I got my education on from the Indiana University School of Public and Environmental Affairs. And that's a commitment that I've made for the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt?
Sorry.
There you go.
I think it's obvious that having 6 trucks for 18 miles of road is not responsible in terms of energy usage and carbon usage. I think we have an obvious duplication of services. Everyone has said for my entire adult lifetime that Illinois has too many taxing districts, and not even the township, but the road district is a classic example. You don't need to have a separate taxing body to do what the road district does. Now, how the road district should do what it does a lot of things very well. It does some other things not so well. I think if it were merged with the township, you'd have a better usage of resources, and so that's it.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to run over a little bit of time because this question is important, as the Palatine area does have a lot of young families. What role can the highway department take in increasing access and safety for bikers and walkers, and to make retail and dining areas easier to reach without using a car? And we'll go to Matt first. There you go. Unmute yourself.
There's the transportation department of the township that performs certain very limited services in terms of getting seniors to and from doctor's appointments and that sort of thing. I think we could look into expanding the transportation department of the township. Now, this would not be the road district. The road district itself really doesn't have the jurisdiction to do what you're describing. But I think that the township does. And if the township and the road district were merged into one entity, they could be more effective. There's a lot of money sitting here going nowhere. There's $3 million sitting on deposit, and there's no foreseeable need for $3 million for the 18 miles of road that's left. Let's take some of that money and transfer it to the township, and have the township put in better bikeways and more of a dial-a-ride kind of service.
Thank you, Matt. Aaron?
Well, thank you for the question. Matt keeps on talking about $3 million in reserves, and I think I need to answer that real quickly. And that is, he's misunderstanding. That's not operating expenses. Those are also part of my capital expenses. So when I need to spend $100,000 or $200,000 to buy a new tub grinder, the second that I buy it, I start saving for it because I know what the shelf life of it. So I don't have to go and borrow money or use credit to buy it. So he's talking about, a new roof. That's all into that money. So that's not operating expenses. Number two is I do the number one thing for transportation. Matt's wrong on that. I make sure that you can get to work in the morning. I make sure that my guys are out there plowing the snow at 2 o'clock in the morning. So when rush hour comes, there's no problem. For young families, I make sure that the roads are in great condition, that there's no potholes. I make sure that it's salted correctly so it's safe. There's no black ice. I make sure that we pre-coat before the snow is coming so the snow and the ice does not adhere to the pavement. I make sure that every streets are taken care of with curtail, just done so fantastically because I drive the township weekly to make sure that everything is done meticulously. And I'm proud of our record and I'm proud of my team, and we're doing the job that we need to do.
Thank you, gentlemen. Time for closing statements. Aaron, you go first. 1 minute.
Thank you again. In closing, I want to thank the League of Women Voters, the Palatine Library, and Matt Flamm, and all the people that are watching this forum online. On April 6th, I am asking for your vote. Not because I'm running as a Republican or because my opponent is running as a Democrat, because my previous experience and my record as Highway Commissioner has earned your trust for 4 more years. In the last 5 years, I have proven that I can be trusted with your hard-earned dollars, that I will not raise your property taxes, that I always will be striving for new innovation, best practices, and that I will always listen and respond to your concerns and take action to resolve any problems quickly and effectively. My team and I have proven to you that we will always make sure you can get to work in the morning after a snowstorm, that your roads will always be maintained, and that we will do it environmentally responsible way without burdening you on increasing property taxes. I am asking for your vote because I believe I'm the best qualified person to do the job of Highway Commissioner and because I genuinely care. I'd like to thank you for your time, and I hope you have a great night. Thank you for including me.
Thank you, Aaron. Matt, 1 minute, closing statement.
Yes, the road district used to transfer money to the township on a more or less annual basis. They've transferred as much as $127,000 in some years. More recently, they transferred $20,000 to help the township buy and maintain a bus. Since then, nothing, while the amount in the bank has increased by $600,000. The road district never decreased its tax levy until the 2000 levy, which is going to be collected in 2021. Which just happens to be an election year. As I've said before, the law allows the township board to put a referendum on the ballot to eliminate the road district and have its operations taken over by the township board. If the voters are given that choice, and if they choose to abolish the highway commission position, I would be proud to be known as the last highway commissioner of Palatine Township. Thank you again. Thank you again to the league.
All right. Well, gentlemen, we, on behalf of the League of Women Voters and all the voters in the Palatine Township, we want to thank you for your stepping forward, your courage to run. It takes a lot, and we're honored that you are here with us tonight. So I'm going to pass the microphone back to Lizzie so she can close us up.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Angie, our timer. Thank you, candidates and everyone watching. I just want to remind everyone that we'll be hosting 2 more forums on Thursday evening, Palatine Township Supervisor and Palatine Township Clerk. Please see the library's website for details and to register. Once again, we would like to encourage all of our candidates and our public to recycle their campaign signs after the election. You can visit our website for more details. The URL is in the chat. If you're not a registered voter, you can find registration information on our website. And please remember that early voting begins March 22nd. We have a lot of election information on our website as well. Thank you for participating in our democracy by casting your ballot. Remember, your vote is your voice. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.